Welcome to iAM Live. Hello, everyone. We are back. Here we are. We are ready to dive in to some chat about HR tech, user enablement, and systems that actually serve the people and not the other way around. So we are excited and ready with a very, very special guest that I've been looking forward to spending some time with this morning, this evening, wherever you're at. The CEO of HR Geckos, and I would say a leader in our HR tech space here, Jay Polaki. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Hello, everyone. So nice to be here. And I'm missing Tammy, but Jen, my good friend, is here. And it's great to have Deanna as co host. I'm looking forward to all the googlies you're going to throw at me and ask me today during our conversation. And by the way, googlies is a term from cricket because I'm coming to you live from India, and cricket is like football here, and no one sleeps, eats, or drinks when there's a game on. So there's no game on today. So hopefully someone's watching us and listening in to all the things we have to say about HR technology and HR.
Yes, we are excited and thank you for joining us from India so that you're not on the beach, sipping a Mai Tai, enjoying the evening. So we have you working.
Well, I'll get there. We're closer to the weekend. I think it's Thursday. So
Yes. This week went by in no time, that's for sure. So, well, to all of our friends, everyone that's out there listening, the chat is open. Tammy, if you're out there, if you happen to be catching this, make sure you say hello. We're missing Tammy today. So chat is open. Pop your questions in. And anything in regards to HR technology. We're going to talk about HR geckos for some time today, AI, any of the topics that you have. Make sure you drop them in there. We'll be sure to answer your questions. So I think the best way to kick it off is to learn a little bit about you, Jay, and give us an introduction to your baby, HR geckos.
Well, thank you again. And HR Geckos is a co-pilot for HR operations. That's my 10-second elevator pitch for HR Geckos. And I'm the chief gecko. My team of geckos is always on the ready to navigate and innovate everything that's happening so fast in our HR space and with technology, especially today. We call ourselves a co-pilot for HR ops, meaning that we're not here to replace the human in the HR, but to empower the human. So I've been on too many planes these past weeks, so I'm gonna use the analogy of a pilot in a modern cockpit. They're always in command and making all those critical decisions, but they have a co-pilot and a very sophisticated system that handles checklists, navigation, routine communications. And this definitely frees up the pilot to focus on the strategic elements of the flight, like, how is the flight flying properly? And that's exactly what HR Geckos does for HR professionals. So in practice, our platform acts as that intelligent assistant to HR professionals in small, medium, and kind of mid-sized organizations at this point in time.
That's amazing. So are you using AI to help do that?
Absolutely. AI is our co-pilot.
That's amazing. I was thinking, how else is going to be intelligent?
Well, before,
right? We can't think we're the intelligent ones. We're going to automatically to AI now.
Well, I think of it more as that augmented human intelligence. So that augmented side of the human intelligence rather than the artificial side of the of intelligence as it's called. I think even AI is going to take offense to being called artificial in a few days when it becomes that sentient being. But that's how I think of it. It's more augmented intelligence, and definitely still a co-pilot. At least as far as I know, no one's become sentient in the 2 weeks I've been away from my computer, at least. So that's how we look at it here at HR Geckos. There's so many things that are happening in our space today, and we're really very, very excited about all the different trends, innovations, and what's to come in the years ahead for our HR and people functions in small, medium, and large organizations across the board.
That's a great segue. So what do you see in this? I mean, building HR geckos and creating it and your, years of experience, where do you see it going? Where do you see that alignment between let's go back to the skill sets that we're going to need to have, the training, and then the upskilling of our people to work alongside technology that is changing, weekly. If there's something new coming out, we're not going to be able to keep up with it. So where do you see that transition over the next 2 to 3 years?
That's a great question. And, I've been thinking about that a lot, especially since I'm on this side of the world now. And I get to see both sides of the world in tandem while I'm working on stuff. There's a lot happening in the United States, in Europe, a lot happening in Asia, China, Russia, the whole Asia Pacific region, here in India especially, which is kind of digitally very, very flush with not just skilled humans, but also all of the technology, right? There's so much technology coming out of just India here in the Asia region. And when I look at all of the tech, it's not just HR tech, but all the workplace tech. There's a lot of hype, let me say that. Definitely, we're talking about the chicken before the egg is hatched in many cases.
It feels like.
And definitely, I see the whole digital divide where there are organizations that are so like digital first. They have digitally native workforces who have used a lot of these tools right from when they were in their 20s or even before, who are part of the workforce, large and getting, becoming a larger part of the workforce. And so the skill set that they're bringing is not just, clashing with the folks that were currently holding most of these jobs in companies and are afraid they're going to be replaced, not just by these humans, but these humans who know how to use all these tools and all these technologies and who actually know what ChatGPT is. Because if you go on the street and say, do you know what ChatGPT is? Not a lot of people know about it. I mean, you and I are talking here in LinkedIn Live rooms and Zoom rooms, and we hear it all the time because we are the ones talking about it. But in reality, I actually went to a government office today here locally for some business work, and there were piles of paper everywhere. Okay. And I'm not just saying this because I'm here and I'm trying to throw someone under the bus or something like that. Let me make that very clear. This is a very digital first nation. But locally, and this is a local government office, there are still paper-driven manual processes that are taking up 100% of their time, where you ask them a question and they're like, oh, here's what you need to fill. Or they wanted to take me to a link online, but their internet was not working. And I was able to get to the link on my mobile device faster than they were able to in the government office today. So, the contrast there to me is we're all talking AI, we're talking, oh, AI is going to take over all of this, AI is going to take over our jobs. I mean, we'll just be like that Bruce Willis movie. I often talk about this. I always forget the name of the movie, but he's in a closet and his clone goes to work every day for him. It's a futuristic sci-fi movie. And I'm like, no, that future.
Right. Oh my goodness.
And that future is very far away, though we're all talking like it's here and it's now. And I'm like, no, it's not. The reality is there's so much groundwork and foundational work that we need to do, especially in breaking down all these, manual,
Yeah.
tedious processes, and actually seeing which processes can be digitized, can be AI driven, and which processes still need that human interaction. And the human needs to be in the loop in these processes and conversations and interactions. So to answer your question in a very long-winded way, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you, hey, it's going to happen by December of 2025. This is all happening. Like, I read all of these articles that come out every day from all of the major publications in our industry. Really, it's not something that we can predict. We are all learning every single day. Like I said, I see the contrast when I travel across the globe. And if things have to happen that fast, everyone needs to be on the same page. And that's a very Herculean task for humanity. So this is going to be a slower process than what it's being hyped to be. That's my humble opinion.
It's so accurate, because we have, if you think of it like a pendulum, we have, HR professionals and leaders that we speak to. I mean, I had multiple conversations this week that are ready to jump. They're diving in, but we don't know. We have, just like any tool, and I see it as AI is a tool. It is a tool we're using, and we need to understand it, and we need to know how to properly use it, or we're going to feed it and put it into, whether it's with, a national software provider or whatever the tool is, we're just going to give it everything, but it's only as good as the information that you're giving it. And then we're going to rely on it. And we're having conversations of, it's going to take the generalist role. It's going to take all these admin roles. Well, then what happens when those roles are gone? Like, then who are the industry leaders? Where are you come up through the ranks, and receive, a title or responsibility based on experience. And we're going as far to say that AI is going to take that's going to happen. And I think we need to be very, very cautious before we rely on this as a person or as an individual in our organization. And we're ready, like, there's leaders ready to jump head first into putting AI in their organization or utilizing it within a software. We need to be cautious of that.
I agree.
Yeah,
I also,
absolutely.
from my perspective, because I'm usually involved with the actual project work and working with the users, it definitely, it comes from the top. The CIOs or the leadership are like, let's do these new technologies, let's implement this, and they're gung-ho, and they get everybody at the table to do it. And then I work with the users who are just, sitting there thinking, what's this? And why are we doing this? And then they're frustrated, or they're changing a process and there's lack of training. And then I watch the user adoption just tank because, the leader's excited, and they see the vision, but the vision's not being cast down below. And then so I definitely agree with you, Jay, when you say it's going to be slower than we think it is, because there's, generationally, like, people still don't even know how to use the iPhone. How are we going to teach them AI? Like, they can't even understand the concept of that. So yeah.
Yes, definitely. Everything both of you said resonates with what I'm seeing practically in my work and in my travels while I'm working with companies across the globe. What you said, Deanna, there's a huge contrast in the adoption when it comes to, say, when we deploy HR geckos in India versus we deploy it in the US or in Canada. These are the three countries that we operate in. And we definitely see a difference in how the workforce reacts to HR geckos, how they adopt it and how they use it, right? And so we can tell that some parts of the world, the workforce is not ready for something like this. They still want to pick up the phone and just talk out things, and they don't want anything to be recorded transactionally or not. And they don't want any kind of history of the interaction, because compliance laws are different across the globe. In the US versus Canada versus India, and I can speak very well to these three countries, so I'm actually putting the focus on them. Nothing against any of these countries, but it's just very, for me, I'm a geek and I'm like this data sponge, and I love to see all this, analytics and research that's coming out of our work. And it's very, as a human resources professional my entire life with a background in IO psychology, I've done assessments of skills, and I've built assessment centers and selection tools for employee hiring. And I've seen across the board the different ways in which employees evolve within an organization through the employee life cycle. And the contrast in the workforces in these global companies is evident to us just by their usage of an operations tool like HR Geckos, where they're interacting with the HR teams to get services, at the click of a button, like we call it, but they still don't like the click of a button. They still pick up the phone or come to the office and talk.
Yeah.
So that's the contrast that we're seeing. And it's exciting because you see the various waves of adoption. You see how people are reacting to the technologies that are coming out. And it's not just one technology that people are adopting in the business world today. There are, so many tools, right? I mean, everything is AI driven. If you ask me, at least that's how they pit it and pitch it. And sometimes you're like, is this really AI, or is this just like, I used to have these talks which I called digital transformation or digital lipstick. And I'm not the one who coined the term digital lipstick. It was someone at one of these big banks. He was, I think, one of the CEOs of the bank who called it that, and at that time, before the advent of AI and all of that. But I still see that a concept, today. Like when you put the word AI, you tack it on, is it just, just makeup, or is it truly transformational, that you're using AI to actually build a digital enterprise that will serve the humans rather than take over the humans? like Wiki. I think we've all used this analogy too many times, the Wiki of the Terminator world. but I don't think that's coming or happening anytime. At least I don't see it happening the way that it's being hyped to happen.
And it's really, we can make it very basic, because we do want to have the tools within our organization, but we have to understand them. And it's just that it just goes back to any tool that you're going to implement. Like Deanna was sharing, I mean, you can have all the excitement. I mean, we talk about it all the time at iAM, your shiny objects, your demos. Like, we're all excited anytime someone's going to come in and say, we're going to fix all of these issues. But you have to have the follow through. Just with any tool that you put in, you have to have the follow through, and then you have to have the skill set and the training at the end. And I think, Jay, that'd be something to talk about, just best practices and what you see when you are implementing HR Geckos, how important that is from a leadership standpoint, to have that excitement, but then have that funnel down to your users, and the importance of that within an organization. And to add to that as well, even in the beginning, the importance of your requirements gathering, the importance of knowing what you want up front. Almost like, you have this great sandwich, to where the importance up front and the importance once we go live of just best practices, just what these HR professionals and leaders need to know.
Well, two top things always, and this has always been my top priority, AI or not.
Right.
Adopting new tech is a journey. It is never just a handoff, though it's always treated as one, where your IT team says, oh, here's the tool, and there's a handoff, and then HR has to deal with the aftermath of implementing that tool and all of the different repercussions, both positive and negative, that come out of implementing that. It's just not a handoff. It's a journey where you work with all the different stakeholders, and everyone is involved, not just at the moment of the handoff, but even before the pre-planning stage onwards, like, how we have day 0 for onboarding, or even day unzero, so to speak. If there was a word, I'm coining a new word, Jen, right here. I don't know what the AI will say about that, but think of it in a way, as a journey, and that's one of my top priorities when I'm approached. And the first question I ask is, you're trying to implement a tool where you want all of your workforce, especially when it comes to HR geckos, where you want your workforce to interact with you through a portal, and you're kind of assuming that they like doing that even before you actually purchase it or implement it. And so that's a huge decision for organizations, although as you know, these tech decisions are made very fast in closed rooms and committees that you and I are not on, especially as HR professionals. And so that I usually bring that perspective, although I'm seen now as a tech CEO. Some folks do not know my background is in HR. And so when I bring up all these questions during an initial meeting, they're like, are you trying to sell us, or are you just trying not to sell us? Because these are points you shouldn't be making. I'm like, that's okay. I'm just trying to be honest and tell you what you should be doing and should not be doing when you look at the tech tool for HR. So definitely in terms of the training approach, think of this as a journey. And secondly, always keep all the feedback channels open, right? Yes. I mean, at any given time, when you shut off people, humans, telling you how they feel about the technology, whether it's a small win or a small pet peeve that someone has about a certain icon on the screen that they don't like to see every day, things of that nature impact usage rates and appreciation of the technology that you're trying to implement, and of course the adoption rates impact the usage of any technology. And you talk to your neighbor in the cubicle or your neighbor on another Zoom window in another country and tell them your experiences, and word spreads, and how do you manage all of that? So it's always better to have an open feedback channel throughout this journey, not just during the handoff or not just during the introductory implementation phase. I also don't like to call it implementation. It sounds very, very cut off. I just say, hey, this is the new tool that's going to augment your work, but think of it as your sidekick. Like you can name it whatever you want, but it's going to really help you just be the better human resources professional that you want to be. But don't think of it as this tool. And sometimes the word tool is also used in a negative way by some generations in our workforce. So you don't want to throw that word around a lot either. So these are my top two things when it comes to taking a very human-centric approach to ensuring the adoption of any new HR technology.
Absolutely.
That's great. So do you have any examples of a client success story from HR Geckos that you could share with us that maybe might be helpful for users who are still trying to wrap their minds around what is it that you do and how is it going to help me?
Absolutely. Lots of client stories are coming out, especially with all of the changing labor and compliance laws across the US right now. There's so many employee inquiries coming in, like where do I find this policy on parental leave versus where do I find my pay stub, for example. I mean, these kind of tier one questions that are or that are called tier one questions in the IT world, they eat up everyone's day. I mean, as an HR professional, I'm sure both of you have seen that if we can answer all these questions accurately, instantly, 24/7, a lot of our time is freed up. And so we see a lot of return on experience, as we call it, here at HR Geckos, especially during onboarding, because where a lot of the HR generalists, manually send out like I don't know, 15. I used to send out upwards of 15 different emails and track paperwork uh, during that entire onboarding process. But now our Copilot automates that entire workflow and we customize it. So, our Copilot can send that welcome packet. It can assign tasks to different stakeholders in the new hire process, like IT with all of the provisioning for equipment, access to systems and portals and software. It can schedule orientation, and also we are working on this. This is a new feature. I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here, but it's coming up where you can nudge a new hire to complete a form. I mean, I was a little wary about implementing this particular feature because I especially don't like being nudged by AI, but apparently there's some return on experience on being very friendly, sending a friendly reminder, still being a human assistant kind of reminder, but sending them reminders to complete their forms, right? And all of this happening in tandem where hiring managers are kept abreast of what's happening. There's a simple dashboard that the new hire can see and actually see how the work is flowing through to bring them on board. So there's a huge, investment in the engagement right from day zero with the new employee. So that's a huge win for smaller organizations, especially. We serve the small to mid-market segment, up to 5,000 employee companies. And especially in smaller companies, and I worked in companies where there are 5 employees and there are 6,000 employees. And you can see that the way onboarding is handled, where you have a larger HR team, is a little different and a little more personable than where there was a smaller HR team of one or none, where the CEO is handling all of the onboarding and the HR and has taken on the HR role, right? So there is a lot of return on experience in these use cases, especially with the employee inquiries, especially with the onboarding processes. And as I mentioned, during open enrollment, a huge, it's coming up, and already the questions have started. It's only August. It's like winter is coming, brace yourself. I see all of these memes coming out in all the Facebook and WhatsApp groups and LinkedIn groups, bracing for open enrollment. I'm like, it's still a huge issue, right? Like, this is one of the times of the year when all of us are like, oh yeah, let's brace ourselves. It's open enrollment. So that's kind of the employee experience side of things that we focus on. I hope I answered your question, Deanna. I know I can talk forever about HR geckos, but please stop me.
I know. We might have to have you on again because I have so many follow-up questions. But I know we're almost at our end of our time here.
Yes,
great.
Yes. Let's touch on just analytics very quick. I know that's another hot topic everyone wants to know. So give us, a minute rundown on how HR geckos can help with analytics and reporting.
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, analytics is huge because of the data is the new oil, or I don't know what else to say. I generally misquote that. I don't remember who said that, but data certainly is the new oil. I mean, there is so much information at hand. How do we illuminate all of the opportunities based on all of these data insights and implement them so we see the ROI in the process, in the workforce engagement, in the different ways in which employees are able to perform and have a better life, work life, and life outside of work, because their work life is much better because of the efficiencies that we're bringing into the workforce. So there's so many analytics that we run at HR Geckos, where we have intuitive dashboards to help HR leaders pinpoint pain points, like where are the onboarding gaps, where are the process improvements that we can really preemptively address before they surface or fester and become bigger problems. And so that's one of our approaches, using all of the data that's coming into the system through the interactions, through automating all of the paper-driven, repetitive, administrative side of the HR function, and offering a one-stop employee service center with dashboards, analytics, and of course, our intelligent sidekick, our Copilot HR Gecko bot. So that's a lot of stuff we're doing with analytics, and we can splice and dice data that's coming into our system with the help of AI in so many myriad ways today, more than we ever could with spreadsheets and
Right.
other kinds of analytical tools. Yes.
Yes, the evolvement from spreadsheets and even just the human error aspect of it. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, human error. Talk about that.
and
We
the
can
whole
we
other
can
I
spend
am live for that.
we can
Yes,
just
we
spend
need a whole other
a
one.
couple of hours on just that topic, right?
Yes.
So much human error. I mean, I saw it just today in my interactions at this government office. So much of that human error can be avoided. So absolutely.
Well, to everyone listening, to our guests, everyone who watches it back, you can connect with Jay on LinkedIn. You can find her, just search Jay Polaki, HR Geckos. You can connect with her and check out HR Geckos as well. And how else can anyone get in contact with you?
Oh, LinkedIn is the best way, but I'm also on YouTube and on different podcast channels because I also have a podcast called HR Bites. So we do a lot of so we do a lot of those episodes. We also do a lot of LinkedIn live episodes through HR Geckos. So yeah, happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn and share all these HR tech stories.
Wonderful. And I know you're going on tour. You're going to be out and about. So pay attention to that on LinkedIn. I know you're going to be in Texas. You're going to be here in Charlotte. You're also doing a few other in-person events with HR Gecko. So check that out on LinkedIn. You can meet Jay in person. And thank you so much for joining us here on iAM Live. This was fantastic. And we will be back in 2 weeks. So take care.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.